All right, welcome in everyone. This is Peter Ryman, the Director of Instruction here at Marshfield Country Club. It's a beautiful fall day. You know, when I think of fall golf, I think of a few things. One, just the amazing colors. It is beautiful everywhere you look. And two, great golf course conditions. Grass is just so good this time of year. It's short, greens are fast, love it. But three, it's less positive, but I also think of lost golf balls. These leaves are falling down, they get in the rough. If you're not hitting the fairway, you're probably going to lose some balls this time of year. So that's what this tip is all about. It's trying to help you hit it just a little bit straighter. Now, hitting it straight, you got to make sure you hit it on the center of the face. That's super important. That's a more complicated topic, and it's very personal depending upon what that person is doing. But one thing that is just a universal is we can all control the angle of our club face much, much better, right? I think I see more than anything consistent path directions in lessons and inconsistent face directions, meaning people constantly are moving their face a little bit open, a little bit closed, whatever it is, right? And it's creating very inconsistent direction. So what is the single thing that controls your face direction more than anything? Any ideas? It's your hands. Your hands are directly responsible for whether or not your face is going to be open or closed as you move into a hit. So building off that, how important do you think it is that you have a good grip? It's everything, folks. If you look at great players, you don't see tons of variation in terms of how they grip the club. They might be a little bit weak, or they might be a little bit strong in their grip, but it's not a lot. And I think that variable is way more drastic when I see the average amateur coming in for a lesson. So I always push people to find as neutral and proper a grip as possible, but I still think there's going to be a little bit of bias around that neutrality. And understanding what your bias is, whether it's weak or strong, and I'm going to focus on the lead hand today, weak or strong, it's very important you understand your bias so that you know how to set your club at the top of your backswing. In other words, how you hinge this club in your swing. It very much so correlates to the type of grip you have. So let's just chat about this. So I want you to take a look at your lead hand. So for me, it's my left hand. I want you to take a look down your shaft at your hand and just figure out, am I weak or am I strong with my left hand? What am I doing with this lead hand? Now, here is a weak lead hand. You'll see my thumb really very much so moves down the line of this shaft right here. That's weak. Now here's the opposite. Strong. Palm points towards ground. Okay, so without the club, that's a strong lead hand. Palm points towards ground. That's a weak lead hand. A very strong grip, very much so tend to see the club in the fingers of the player, and a weak grip very much so gets into the palm. Okay? Now, I think more often than not, I see a grip that's too weak, right? Because they grip it for comfort. It's very comfortable just to go ahead and put your hands on this club and let it just sit in your palm, okay? But it's also very comfortable to hinge in such a way where there is a cup. You notice there's a little angle right now on my wrist. And if you have a weak left hand, and I'm gonna isolate my hinge here, and then you hinge with cup, what does that club face do? Take a look. Here's a square club face with a weak left hand, and now I'm going to hinge and cup. Do you notice that club face opens? From this angle, it points towards the sky, but it opens right up. So if you're missing the ball to the right, and you look down and you see your lead hand weak with this thumb down the line condition, chances are you're not hinging the club correctly based on your grip. Now, you could change your grip. You could strengthen your grip, and that is absolutely an option. I would 100% take that route first. Just try and take your left hand, turn it over a little bit more to accommodate that. But for some people, it makes a lot of sense for them to change how they hinge and rethink their hinge as well, okay? So weak lead hand, I want you to try and feel a little bit more of this type of feel at the top. Now, this is exaggerated, but this would be bowed. A bowed lead wrist. You see a lot of great players doing this. John Rahm comes to my mind immediately. He has a very bowed set at the top. If you are going to be bowy at the top, I would recommend that you have the ability to turn your body very aggressively. A bowed set of hands at the top very much so correlates to a type of condition at impact that we want to find. So essentially you are setting impact at the top and turning into it very aggressively. So you need to be able to turn well if you're going to have a weak left hand and bow at the top. If you don't turn so well and you need to use your hands a little bit, then you're probably going to need to go ahead and look at strengthening your lead wrist, getting, again, your palm more down, which allows you to have a little bit more cup at the top. That's cup, right? Bowed, cup, okay? And that allows you to use your hands a little bit more with a little bit more hinge and unhinge. So please understand your grip. Look at your lead hand. Ask yourself, am I weak? Am I strong? And then look at the hinge at the top. If you're weak, it's a good thing to have a little bit of bow at the top, right? Flat to bow, something like that. If you are strong, it is a good thing. It makes sense to have a cup at the top of your backswing. Those things just correlate. Now, I don't like to see, again, one way, too much or the other, too weak, too strong. I prefer a neutral set of hands, right? And then at the top, I prefer to see a set of wrists that are very neutral and flat. I think more often than not, you're going to see that amongst great players, something towards neutral, okay? But understand yourself and understand if there needs to be a little bit of bias one way or the other. I'm going to hit a shot here. Now I have a neutral set of hands, generally. And on this shot, I just want you to try and look. See if you can see my wrist condition at the top of my backswing. And hopefully it's pretty flat. So that ball went pretty straight right there. Went just a fraction left on me, which tells me I probably, with my neutral set of hands, got a little bit too much this way, just a little bit too bowed, right? Which is probably why it went about, 10 yards left or so in that shot. So, hope all this makes sense, folks. Take a good look in the mirror, figure out what your hands are like, figure out how you should be hinging the club, and I promise you will hit the ball a lot straighter if you can nail down those factors. Signing off here. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your fall.